G'day, Chris Henry here from Shimano Australia. Today I've got with me the new BeastMaster 12000 MD, and I'm going to show you how to get this guy spooled up, get it on a rod and ready to fish. To spool this guy up, we're going to be using 100-pound Power Pro Depth Hunter, and this is a 3,000 yard spool. To start off with, we're going to need a 12-volt battery. AGM or a car battery is fine, and we're just going to connect the terminals. From there, we'll grab the supplied cable and secure it firmly into the base of the reel. From there, we go to the other side of the cable and we attach the positive to the positive and the neutral to the neutral onto the battery, which will power up the reel automatically. All we've got to do from there is grab the braid, run it through the level wind and attach it to the spool via this little tie-off point with a uni knot. Now we're basically all set up to go. We've got the braid connected to the reel via the spool pin and we're powered up. Next thing we're going to do, we need to set the reel back to 0 by holding down the 0 set button for 3 seconds. Okay, now that the reel is set to 0, next thing we've got to do is get to the calibration menu by holding down these 2 buttons. Okay, now we're in the menu. Next thing we've got to do is go down the menu and select L1. Okay, now we're in the calibration menu. We tap down 3 times to get to L1, and then to select it, we press the menu button. Now that we're in the L1 learning method, all we need to do is engage the clutch lever, and now we're ready to spool. A really important factor before you spool up is that you have got tension on your line. And the reason for that is, if it goes on soft onto the spool, you can get line biting. And what that is that under heavy load, the line will bite into itself and you'll get snapped off. In our case, we're using a line tensioner. So I can just change the tension here. If you haven't got that, make sure you've got someone else on the other end, or you have some way of applying pressure to the spool to put tension on it before you get it on the reel. Now we just engage the technical lever to start winding the line onto the spool. Now while we're spooling, we need to make sure by using the tensioner that this number on the reel stays on 3 to get the correct amount of tension on the spool. Now we've got enough line on the spool, simply push the lever down like that to stop it from winding. Now that we've got enough braid on the spool, we need to put it into calibration mode by holding down the menu button for 3 seconds. Now we just got to calibrate the reel by pulling 10 meters of line out. And the reason for that is so that the reel understands how long 10 meters is, so that when it's giving you a depth, it's accurate. Now to do this, we've set up the reel so it's sitting exactly 1 meter away from the edge of the bench. So now what we've got to do is pull the line out to the end of the bench and do that 10 times and we've got our 10 meters. Now before we do anything, we need to make sure that we have tension on the spool with the tension knob here before we disengage our clutch lever and start to measure out at 10 meters. Now the reason for that is so that you don't get an overrun when you pull in the line off your spool. Now we're just going to cut the braid at the closest point to the spool. Now we disengage the clutch lever, start pulling out our 10 meters of braid. 3. You just got to make sure you give yourself plenty of room to put the braid. 4. 5. I'm just going to pull this out. 6. Don't want to lose a spot. 7. 8. 9. And 10. Now to complete the calibration, all we need to do is hold down the menu button for 3 seconds. We'll just keep tension on the line and wind this guy back on. All right, that's it, all spooled. Okay, that is the BeastMaster MD 12000, all spooled, ready to hit the water. Now, I just need to convey how important it is to get this right. You need to get the calibration set up so that when you hit the water, you get the most accurate reading out of the reel. I can't stress that enough. Anyway, if you want to learn more, head to shimanofish.com.au or head into your local tackle store and ask about the Beastmaster 12000 MD.